What is going on, YouTube? It's Ed here today with a Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery movie from Netflix review. This will contain spoilers. So, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. If you don't give a damn, well, then keep watching. So, Knives Out, or the Glass Onion, whatever the hell you want to call it. So this was a interesting new mystery, and Daniel Craig. I feel like he does a pretty good job of his kind of like southern drawl character, from like what I'm guessing Louisiana or like New Orleans or something like that, because that's either the character or maybe that's the only accent he can do. But I think he does a really good job in terms of like playing his character. It's hard for me to see him as anything other than James Bond still, but like man, he does a good, like I think he is pretty good in this as the detective here, as Benoit Blanc or whatever his name is. And then the mystery itself, I thought it was pretty clever. The whole um I mean, I guess like a lot of these mysteries, where everybody has a reason to murder, the main character, or I mean, technically there was, I mean, the murder in this one wasn't is not the same as the original Knives Out, where it was, I guess the main head of the household, and then every family member that had um a reason to murder, the main person or whatever. But this time around, every it's basically the story where Edward Norton plays a an eccentric billionaire type, tech billionaire, very similar to, I guess, an amalgamation of like Elon Musk type, where he comes up with like all these like random ideas, and then all he needs is one of them to hit, right? And all these people around him kind of basically strokes his ego to no end, and he has a very crazy life, right? So all these people in the background here, they're friends of his who were at the beginning, before like he was rich and famous and whatnot. So they all come onto this island, including an ex partner, or like an ex business partner, I should say. And they figure out this whole elaborate, like, kind of murder. They were gonna play a murder mystery game, but Benoit, or like Daniel Craig's character, immediately solves it, and it's just like, oh well, that sucks. But then things kind of hit the fan, and a person is murdered, and they gotta actually figure stuff out. The twist in this mystery is pretty good, I like to say. In terms of how the detective actually figures everything out, and then all the twists are great until the very end, where Janelle Monae's character kind of shats the bed. Like, it all climaxes into where she finds the original um napkin that, like, her twin sister writes the ideas on, and like he still has it. Why he even keeps it in like plain sight is just ridiculous. Like, do these people not ever heard of like safety deposit boxes or something like that? There's so many things that they can just, they could put it in. Like, I mean, for a person that is worth billions, why don't you put it, like, you can build yourself like the most secure nuclear level safe, like, on the planet, but no, you're just gonna put it out in the middle, like in plain sight. I mean, they keep saying like, oh, the best place to hide something is in plain sight or something, because like you never expect it to be there. But in this case, not so much. And also, why does he even have the napkin? Like, burn it, which he eventually does. But like, why would you have like incriminating evidence just to keep around? Maybe to glow. Maybe it's part of his ego to be like, oh, I still have it, just to like mess with like that character. I don't know what the deal is, but it's just like part of it kind of stupid. And then at the end, when he, um, you know, the sister finally has the evidence and it's like, I have it right here. Let me show it to you. And then he just takes a blowtorch and just burns it. And it's like, why did you do that? Like, why didn't you just like you should have hit it or something like why would you like that last part just like in my head I'm like what was the point of all this? And the whole entire climax at the end where like he um Benoit gives her like the element that he wants to use as some kind of like universal fuel for everything, gives it to her and then just lets her chuck it into like the furnace or whatever to burn everything, which apparently also includes burning the original Mona Lisa, and all that jazz. I don't know. I think that everything was good basically up until the end. Like everything was interesting. Like I was like, ooh, who did it? Who done it? I think all the other characters were brilliantly acted. Um, and it was all really fun, and until just the end of it, like where I was just like kind of like, oh well, I guess this guy does get his retribution is up is his punishment, but is not as good as it could have been. I feel like this is where Ryan Johnston or whatever his name is kind of like went a little too far and should have just kept it where they found the napkin and she's gonna go to the press or like whatever and show them what really happened or whatever, right? And also, part that really drives me crazy is like, okay, the whole point was that napkin was like the proof that, um, you know, that sister or like the original sister, um, was the creator of like whatever the $1 billion idea is. Like, why can't you just ask them to like compare their handwriting? Like out of all the things that like they've written, they don't take anything that's like current, but they take other writing samples from their past, like things around their home, and just compare the writing, just compare the penmanship. And I feel like that in itself would have been like a decent enough of I mean I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I feel like that would have at least like not proven but steered in the way of like the sisters arguments, like, oh yeah, I wrote that down and like like that was what I wrote and like those are my ideas. It's like, well, look, like the handwriting matches up with all of her other stuff that she writes down and matches none of his. So arguably, this one piece of evidence points to her. It's like, hello, like why couldn't we do that? I don't know. That part was just kind of drove me crazy. But overall, I mean, it's still a fun movie. Like if you're bored, and feel like watching a mystery, then this is not a bad one. I think even Edward Norton does a pretty good job of acting as an eccentric billionaire. Um, I heard he's not the easiest to work with, according to like Hollywood circles. So, and he's pretty, like he's like a very much a method actor, I believe. So, I don't know if that translates it into this movie as well. But anyways, I think I would recommend you guys watch it. Just don't, have a whole lot of expectations and be ready for, a little bit disappointment. And let me know if you agree that, was Glass Onion a good movie, a bad movie? I thought it was okay. It wasn't the best. I don't think it was as good as the first Knives Out, but it was still a fun one. So, anyways, that's my take on uh, Glass Onion, Knives Out mystery. Let me know what you think of it in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy.